I have always maintained on this platform that the problem of Africa lies in its leadership. I have always opined on this platform during our main discussions that the leadership structure in Africa has failed the continent. We have a bunch of leaders who are not concerned about the interests of citizens. We have leaders concerned with fulfilling their own interests. And with these arguments, I want to categorically say that African countries are not under democracy. We claim to be under democracy. We claim to be democratic. Yet, Africa is under a form of government that our Pan-Africanist PLO Lumumba named as Kakistocracy. Why am I saying that Africa belongs, or Africa is ruled with Kakistocracy form of government? When you Google the meaning of the word Kakistocracy, you will find that it is a form of government where a form of government by the least suitable or competent citizens of a state. A government that is composed of the least suitable or competent citizens of a state. And it is also known as a state or society governed by its least suitable or competent citizens. That is Kakistocracy. When we establish the difference between Kakistocracy and democracy, democracy is always simply defined as a government of the people, for the people, by the people. That means that it is a government that is mainly concerned, mainly ruled, mainly managed, administered by the citizens, by the majority. But when we come to Kakistocracy, this is a form of government in which the least suitable, the least competent members of the society rule. That is the situation of Africa. That is the tragedy of Africa. Africa has a type of leaders who are incompetent. I think I discussed in one of our discussions about this. Africa has a bunch of leaders who are grossly incompetent. A bunch of leaders who are least suitable to occupy positions of leadership. We have leaders who are corrupt, concerned with filling their own pockets, filling their own bank accounts. Leaders who are concerned with impressing foreigners, yet their citizens who elected them into office to work for them are suffering. These are the kind of leaders that we have in Africa. Africa must refrain from saying that their countries are democratic. They must refrain from saying that their governments are democratic. They must refrain from referring to citizens that their governments are ruled and managed by citizens, which is a democracy. And yet, in real sense, African governments are under Kakistocracy form of government. A government where the least suitable, the least competent members of the society rule. When I rate the performance of African leaders out of 10, the highest will get 5 out of 10, because they are incompetent, they are selfish, they are foreign-centered, they are concerned about making profits and not concerned about the interests of citizens. Africa is under a Kakistocracy form of government and not a democracy. We must refrain from that, and we must re-establish the true form of government in Africa. Africa needs to change its leadership structure, and Africa needs to reform its leadership structure for it to succeed.